It's a great honour to be here today, and I would like to thank the Executive Dean and the University of Strathclyde for this prestigious award. I would also like to thank the people who put me forward for this award. It is very much appreciated. People often ask me, how did I get into the career I eventually followed? And I say, by accident. As you've already mentioned, I first started my career at this very university many, many years ago as a pharmacist, long before many of you have been born. It's been nearly 50 years since I first walked through the doors of this university, and I must admit my memory is not what it used to be, but I do have a couple of anecdotes I remember. Within the Students' Union building, and this was the old Students' Union, there was what was like a coffee shop in the mezzanine floor, and we used to call it the Mez, which my friends and I frequented a lot. But by the time we moved into our second year, the coffee shop had moved up to the canteen in a corner there, and the old Mez was a snooker hall. It just didn't have the same atmosphere as before, as it did before, but we started to take our studies a lot more seriously. One other thing I recollect is that one of my friends heard us talk about one of my lecturers' teaching style and the fun he introduced into the topic. And she liked it that much that she actually came to our lectures, even though it was nothing to do with her actual course. Unlike you today, I did not finish my pharmacy degree, but decided instead to follow a career in science in the Scotch whisky industry and studied for an HNC in chemistry. The company I joined was Distillers Company Limited, now known as Diageo, where I worked in the laboratories for 9 years before becoming a master blender for 36 years. During those 9 years, I developed an understanding of the intricacies of science of Scotch making, from distilling to blending, and from the different aromas and flavours you can achieve with the tools you have available, such as individual distilleries, age and the maturation wood. What is a master blender? A master blender has many roles, but the one that inspired me the most was innovation. This is where we got to create and develop new Scotch whisky products, which I found exciting and rewarding. Seeing on the shelf what you had developed gave you a sense of achievement, and it was even more notable if your signature was on the bottle. One of the things I found most interesting was the opportunity to travel the world, whether it be for market research or for product launches. This allowed me to get a better understanding of the various cultures and their preferences for future reference. And I had the good fortune to visit countries such as Mexico, United States, Japan, China. One of the things I was often asked was, do I think myself as an artist or a scientist? And I always replied, an artist, but you need the science to become that artist. During my time at Diageo, I was responsible for many things, but there are a couple I'm most proud of. Being the first female master blender in the modern era, that's an opening the pathway for others to follow my footsteps, especially in an industry where certain roles were very male dominated. I was also instrumental in creating and developing a Scotch whisky character classification language specific for Diageo, which is still in use today. In fact, my first introduction to organoleptic categorisation was when I worked in the labs. Historically, distilleries, I'm not too sure if people would probably know this, historically distilleries were classed into regions like Speyside, Highlands, Islay, and etc. But over years it became apparent that from an organic leptic perspective there was more to it. When I first became a blender, I was asked if I could change this regional classification, which I did, but it's still not wholly organoleptic attributes. It was more along the lines of interchangeable distilleries based on blend characters of blending purposes. It was not until the early 2000s I was involved with others to develop a classification based on organoleptic descriptors, which to us made more relevant for a blending perspective than regions, and that is what we use today. This involved nosing hundreds of samples from different distilleries and different ages. It resulted in 6 category headers based on aroma, for example, meaty and fruity. But underneath that, we actually had, like meaty, you'd maybe have things like, you make descriptions like Bovril and oxo cubes and things like that. A lot of my descriptors are actually relate to food, because I do like my food. And the other one, fruity, that also include, and people in the science area will understand that because fruity was like estery fruitiness, fresh fruits, stewed fruits and things like that. So even though we had headers, they are actually, there's lots underneath that. During my 45 years, I received several awards for my achievement that meant a lot to me. And it's already been mentioned, being inducted as a keeper and master of Quaich, the exclusive international society which recognises those who have shown outstanding commitment to the Scotch whisky industry. Being one of the few who has entered the Whisky Hall of Fame. And that was a total surprise to me. I was at a luncheon and the next thing somebody started talking about what it was and I'm sitting going, that sounds like me. And it was just totally surprise to me. And of course, today's recognition is something I could never have dreamed of, and I really appreciate this today. I did retire in June 2022 from the Scotch whisky industry, but only lasted 6 months. I have now embarked on a new career, transferring my skills to a different type of whisky with an E. This will be a challenge for me, but I'm looking forward to it. Today you're graduating in your specialised fields. At some point in years to come, you might need to want to make that career change, but you should embrace it and not be scared to take that leap. I did. I made the decision, and I don't think I would have achieved the recognition I have today if I hadn't made that initial leap. When I first started in the Scotch whisky industry as a scientist, I never dreamed that I would become passionate about it. I still get a buzz out of Googling my name and seeing all the various articles and courses, of course, the many things I have achieved. First female master blender, keeper of the Master Quaich, member of the Whisky Hall of Fame, and of course now an honorary doctorate. In fact, I am embarking on my new career leap, so watch this space. And hopefully I will get more mentions in Google. I wish you all luck in whatever career path you take and enjoy today, as you've all worked hard to get to this stage in your life. I have one last thing to say, and that is to my family and friends who are here today. Thank you for all your support and you have given me over the years. Thank you.